and welcome to Press Conference. I'm your host, Jim DeLorenzo, the principal of Jim DeLorenzo Public Relations. You can find me online at jimdelorenzo.com. A reminder that I'm always available to answer your questions about public relations, how it works, what it is, how it can help you. Please feel free to email me at jim@jhdenterprises.com, contact me on LinkedIn or on Twitter, where my handle is @jhd16. In my public relations career, I've had the good fortune to meet many interesting people: athletes, entrepreneurs, reporters, coaches, authors, executives, editors, entertainers, and innovators. My guest today is Donna Allie, the founder and CEO of Team Clean Incorporated. Team Clean is a premier commercial janitorial service company and is the largest woman and minority-owned company in the greater Philadelphia area. Donna launched Team Clean 30 years ago as a solo entrepreneur. The company has grown to over 600 employees and over $12 million in sales. The company she founded on a shoestring out of necessity now serves a variety of clients in government, education, industry, professional offices, sports and entertainment venues, and events. She likes to think of herself sometimes as the queen of trash in Philadelphia. I'm glad to have you on the show today, Donna, and it's nice to be with you.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, Jim. I'm just delighted to be here today.
Now, I know the story, but our viewers might not know the story. What was the impetus for you starting Team Clean? How did you come to go from a solo entrepreneur to a CEO of a large company?
Well, actually, I didn't know that I was starting a business. Like a lot of entrepreneurs, I didn't know. Down on my luck, I attended an HBCU, a historical black university in Ohio called Wilberforce University.
Sure.
And so when I left my little town of Bryn Mawr, and mind you, that's the working class part of Bryn Mawr that I was born and raised, and I went off to college. First one to graduate in my family from college. And so I did my stint there, graduated. My mom was so proud of me. My whole family was very, very proud of me. But shortly after graduating, I had a child. And without any job or any prospects and very humbled, I came back to my little town of Bryn Mawr. And of course, I got a scolding from my mother. She wasn't very happy at all. And so I ended up not knowing what I was going to do, just extremely depressed and embarrassed and all those things that come with not having a job and fumbling on life, so to speak.
Sure.
So what I did was I ran an ad in a local newspaper called the Mainline Times. And, my mom said, you got to find a job. And if you don't find a job, you're out of here. Right. So that meant that I was going to be homeless if I didn't find something to do. So I ended up running an ad in a local newspaper, Mainline Times, and it read, "We'll clean your home," because that's all I knew how to do. I came from a family of domestics. My grandmother, she ironed clothes for the long stretches. You remember Councilman Longstretch? Well, his father. And so, we came from a neighborhood and a family of just domestic workers. We were the people who took care of the wealthy mainliners.
Sure.
So I knew how to clean. Of course, my mother made me clean every Saturday morning, and she made sure that before I did anything, I was going to clean everything in that house. So I knew how to clean. That's one thing I did know how to do. And I wasn't really expecting any return on that little $12 newspaper ad that I put in the Mainline Times. But I did. I got a call from a woman, and I'll never forget it. She lived in Villanova. And she said to me, "I see your ad in the newspaper, and I'd like to give you an opportunity to work." And I was like, yeah, okay. Just kind of like, yeah, okay. So anyway, I went to her house, and I tell this story all the time. I went to this house, and I worked for her all day long. And she even hid $10 in the washing machine, because at that time I had to wash her clothes, I had to scrub the floors, do all the cleaning, polish the silver, and she hid $10 in this washing machine when I went to wash her clothes or put a load of laundry in. You know, like the movie To Help. Did you see that movie,
Yes.
To Help?
So she
mind you, she was
testing you out.
testing me, right?
Yeah.
So I went and I, you know, of course that $10 stayed there, by the way, and I passed the test. So, you know, at the end of the day, she said to me, well, sweetheart, what do I owe you? And I was like, I don't know.
Right.
And she stood up and she looked at me and she said, well, if you don't know what I owe you, then I'm going to give you what I think you should have. And she opened up her little purse, her little wallet. Now, we're going back. Sometimes she has a little wallet, and she opened it up, and I think she gave me about, it was $10.
Oh, my gosh.
For a whole
A
day's
whole
work.
day's work.
But you know, when I look back on it today, it was $10 more than I had the day before.
Sure.
So I left her house.
Okay.
And of course, you know, I wasn't very happy, and I was saying all kinds of things in my head, but it didn't come out of my mouth. She called me the next week. I think it was maybe she waited about 2 weeks after that.
Okay.
She called me 2 weeks after that. And she said, you know, I can't remember the exact words, but I liked what happened at my house. You know, will you come back again? And so I went back, same routine. She hid the money in the washing machine again, the whole thing, right? And so at the end of the day, she said to me, dearie, what do I owe you? And I said to myself, you're not going to get me this time.
Right.
And I stood up tall, and I said to her, you owe me $50. And so at the time, you know, $50 wasn't a lot of money,
Right.
but it was worth a day's work.
Sure.
So she gave me my $50, and we went on, and you know, it went on from there. So she liked me. She liked service with a smile, because
Right.
I never snubbed her, never, said anything untowards to her. So I served her with a smile.
Right.
And so anyway, it went on, and then she started telling her friends and her sister or whoever, people in the neighborhood, and I started soliciting women to help me. My mother, my cousins, there were women from South Africa, you know, women from all over the place that I could find to help me clean these homes. And we did that for about 3 years, and I think within 3 years, maybe 3 to 5 years, we were up to about 55 houses a week.
Oh my gosh.
And at the time, Jim, I didn't even know. Like I was taking the women and dropping them off at the house and looking at the house, which was quality control, by the way. I didn't
Right.
even know I was doing quality control. And at the end of the week, paying them, you know, what they deserve for their week's work.
Right.
And that went on for a while. And so that's really how it started. I really didn't know that I was starting a business. We call it flat-foot hustling. It's like you got to do
I
what
like
you got to
that.
do. Yeah.
Flat-foot hustling.
Yeah, yes, like flat-foot hustling. You just get out there and do it. And so it's just been a joy. It really has.
Now you go from you're working on in the houses on the main line. How do you make the transition? What was the impetus to going into commercial contracts? I know this story, but I'd like you to share it with us.
Okay. Once again, I did not know that I had a business, because remember, I was flat-foot hustling, right? So one of my friends said to me, my girlfriend, who's an attorney, she said, you know, you have a business. And she started taking me all around. This is my girlfriend, Donna, and she has this business. And I'm like, all I'm doing is cleaning houses. But nevertheless, she and someone else encouraged me to enroll myself in a program in the city of Philadelphia, which was then the Minority Business Enterprise Council.
Okay.
And it was run by, at that time, Councilman Curtis Jones. But he wasn't a councilman then. So I enrolled in this program that was set aside for minorities and women to bid on contracts. And you know, I wasn't really thinking. I just put my name on my company name on this list, and I got a call from a gentleman. I'll never forget it. And he said to me, now mind you, I'm cleaning houses on the main line, and I have my mother, my cousins, and you know, probably about 9 people working for me. And he said to me, I have this opportunity in Philadelphia, and I'd like you to know if you could meet me and if you would be interested in this opportunity, because I need to have a minority and woman-owned partner for this very huge opportunity I have. And I'm saying, you know, what's this got to do with me?
Right.
And so he says, I'd like to know if you'd be interested in cleaning Vet Stadium. And I said, well, first of all, Jim, I lived in Bryn Mawr,
right.
and Bryn Mawr, you just don't venture out of Bryn Mawr
right.
except for go to college.
Right.
You know,
It's
not
very insular.
back then. Yeah, back then it was. So, anyway, he said to me, "Would you be interested?" And you know, I said, "Well, okay." I didn't even know how to get to Vet Stadium, so I went down there, and you know, he showed me around. As a matter of fact, the Eagles were practicing, you know, on the field, and he's walking me up and down these stairs, showing me this grand, great big stadium,
Right.
and you know, he's saying, "Do you think you can provide cleaning services for this stadium?" And to this day, I don't know what possessed me, but I said, yes. And he said, okay, all right, you know, you think you can do this? And I said, yes. So, you know, the interview was over, and I left, and I got in my little caravan and went on back to Bryn Mawr. I never thought about it. About 3 weeks after that, he calls me. He said, hi, this is, you know, so-and-so. I don't know if I'm allowed to say names or not. But so he said, and, you know, I liked our interview. And, you know, I'd like to give you a contract. I'd like you to have this contract to clean the stadium. I didn't understand it. Seriously, I did not even understand the term contract, okay? And so he said, do you think you can do it? Again, I said, yes.
Let's hold on that thought for just a moment. I want to continue that. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Those aren't broken. They've simply experienced more life. If they were human, we would call them wise. They would be the ones with tales to tell and stories to write. The ones dealt a bad hand who responded with courage. Do not pity a shelter dog. Adopt one.
Say we've got grit, and we'll take it as a compliment. Because it's our uncommon drive, our spark within, that brings us together and sets us apart. We are temple made. And when others take shortcuts, when others take breaks, when others take the easy way, we take charge.
I work 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. So when I'm off the clock, I gotta get stuff done. So when I need a snack, I need something healthy, tasty, and easy to eat. Like wonderful pistachios without the shells. They're protein-powered, delicious, and great on the go. And that's perfect for me. Thanks, Liz. A woman without a lot of time.
Whether you're a gourmet cook or just want to eat like one, visit Rostelli Market Fresh, your home for the freshest, locally sourced ingredients to please everyone who loves great food. Our organic meats, quality seafood, and free-range poultry are cut fresh to order. Chefs create culinary-inspired prep foods made fresh every day, which pair nicely with our vast selection of fine wines and spirits. Choose from handmade pastas, artisan cheeses, organic produce, and grocery items, all from the finest purveyors. Rostelli Market Fresh, from our family to yours.
RVN TV is a platform for people of any industry to share their story. Over 285,000 viewers are tuning in to RVN TV shows monthly. We guarantee a great experience that you'll be sharing with everyone you know while increasing your personal and company's brand awareness. But what is your brand? According to Forbes, it's a combination of your logo, your product, your design and feel, and your personality. Did you know that aside from being a guest, we offer even more opportunity to boost your brand? Adding your company logo and website on screen during your interview will allow viewers to recognize your brand instantly. Incorporating images and video clips is another great way to showcase your product during your live segment. Let viewers see how good you really are. And most importantly, there's you and your interview. For less than the cost of a newspaper, direct mail, or a magazine ad, you can leave our studio and within 48 hours have a permanent digital copy of your live segment to link to your social media, embed into your company website, or use in email marketing. Investing in your brand is so very important, and we can't wait to have you as a guest.
Welcome back to Press Conference on RVN TV. My guest is Donna Allie, the founder and CEO of Team Clean, and we were talking before the break about, you get the call from the gentleman who says, I want to give you a contract to clean Veterans Stadium. Do you think you can do this? And you said?
Yes.
And you did not quite understand what the contract
I did not
entailed.
know that what I was getting into.
Okay.
And so he said to me, well, then you have the business. And he said, now you're going to need about $20,000 a week for payroll. You need 150 people game day. And I'm looking him straight in the face, just like I'm looking at you. And he's saying $20,000 in payroll, about 150 people after every game, or maybe 100. And he said, now, are you still interested? And I said, yes.
Okay.
So I went on back to Bryn Mawr, and I'm thinking about the 9 people that I had cleaning for me, and certainly didn't have $20,000 or $10,000 to meet payroll.
Right.
So, you know, I went back and I said to the team that I had, you know, it was a woman that worked for me, and I said, listen, I've got this problem. And she said, what is it? And I've got a contract to clean Veterans Stadium, and I need $20,000 a week in payroll, and I have to have about 100 people a night, you know, after every game, because it was like 81 baseball games and 8 football games.
Right.
And so, you know, she says to me, she said, well, I can help you with the people. And she said, but I don't know what you're going to do about the payroll. So anyway, you know, I went up and down the Pike. The Pike is Lancaster Avenue, bank to bank to bank to bank, trying to find, you know, someone that would give me a loan.
Right.
And nobody would. And Jim, you know, it's really funny because the first thing, now we're talking about in the 80s, mid 80s, and the first thing they would say to me is, are you married?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now they're not allowed to ask that stuff anymore.
Do you own a home? You know, I told you, no, I don't own anything. You know, so, you know, it went like that for a while. And then, so I was able to get the company that, you know, I was subcontracting for to actually front me the money, which was, I mean, that's like, you know, not unheard of, but he really believed in me, and we stay in contact with each other.
Even 30 years later.
Yeah, even 30 years later. And so, you know, it's funny because the employees, well, there was a housing project, and all that area is different now. There was a housing project called Tasker Homes, and so we would go over there, and you know, the young lady that worked for me in the house cleaning, and she said, I know how we can do it. We can just set up shop, you know, there. Okay. And so we had these flyers that we made up with magic markers, and it was kind of like an application, and then they went into her living room, and I interviewed them, and then they went out the back door, and game day, we had 100 people to clean that stadium, and we stayed there until it was imploded.
Wow.
And so from there we went on to, you know, we mastered that event cleaning. So we were able to clean after large crowds anytime they came to Philadelphia. So that went on for a while, and that's our event cleaning service.
And you did the Republican National Convention in 2000. I don't know if you did anything.
And the Democratic
Convention in 2016.
Convention, yeah.
And you've done a number of events in the city. And also, you did the convention center for many years, the Pennsylvania Convention Center, and other large venues and other large buildings. So you go from cleaning houses on the main line to Veterans Stadium, game day, game night, and then after that, what's your first beyond the vet? What was your first commercial contract?
I think it was either City Hall, because we did City Hall, or the convention center, and they came around the same time in 1996. I believe it was 1996 when then Mayor Rendell privatized the cleaning at City Hall. we were able to joint venture, or I should say partner, with a company out of New York, and we provided services there. And so the program, let me just tell you about the program, OEO, in the city of Philadelphia. You know, I always say this, and I'm very sincere about this, if it was not for those programs that were set up for minorities and females, I probably would still be cleaning houses along the main line. And you know, it was hard for some of the majority-owned companies to accept that they had to share the pie, but I was able to make myself useful. You know,
that's a great way to describe it.
So where this company from Baltimore that won the contract for Veterans Stadium, where he was weak, I was strong.
Right.
So our strength came in recruitment and bringing the labor in, and his strength was in management. So we worked like that for a while. But I say that to say that we need to support, well, I will always support programs like that. We graduated from the 8A program, which is a federal government program that's designed to help, you know, diverse companies.
Okay.
And so we stayed in that program. At the time, you could only stay in it for 8 years, and we graduated, and we did very well. We did the Defense Personnel Support Center. I can't think of the other ones,
Sure.
up in Willow Grove. But so we were able to be able to participate in that program as well. And the city, of course, again, with the OEO programs, it has really, really helped us tremendously. We enrolled in that program, we learned, we took advantage of it, and we moved on. And so, you know, I was a subcontractor at Veterans Stadium. I was a subcontractor at City Hall for many years. I was a subcontractor at the Pennsylvania Convention Center. And because of these programs and the education and the experience that they give us, that I am proudly able to say that we are a prime contractor now. And I don't know if that means anything to you, but sometimes when you know, you're in business, especially in the kind of business that I'm in, or maybe in the construction business, you're locked into being a subcontractor.
Sure.
Because you can never get out of that. But
Typecast.
yes.
And then now you're a prime contractor.
Yes, yes, yes. And you know, I really am so grateful and so happy that I'm able to pay it forward, because I do look at the smaller companies and try to mentor them and bring them along. Sometimes it's in my industry, sometimes it's not.
Sure.
And because I know how I was helped along the way, so I definitely want to help others. And
that's another interesting thing that I find about you, and we've talked about this in the past, but you're bringing people into the workforce that may not have an easy entry into the workforce. Welfare to work. We used to call it ex-offenders. Now we're calling it returning citizens.
Yeah.
So it's returning citizens coming back into the workforce from incarceration. People who are recent immigrants to this country and need an opportunity. You have all these types of people working with you at Team Clean. How do you build that opportunity for people? How do you attract people to working with Team Clean and getting a start?
The use of returning citizens, people who were formerly on welfare, immigrants, to hire those individuals has always been in our DNA. You know, I remember when we were cleaning the stadium, and we would have to, by the way, we'd have to remove the snow out of the stadium as well. Remember the Santa Claus and the snowballs? So, you know, at times they would bus the gentleman down from Greatersford Prison and have them help us with the snow.
Interesting.
And so when some of them, when they, you know, got out of prison, they would write us letters for jobs.
Okay.
And so that's one of the ways that we got introduced to the returning citizen population. And then it went on. I remember just from a need of, you know, needing employees to work, at the stadium and at the convention center and other places. I mean, there were times when we were going down to Love Park and going into the subway and being introduced to people through Councilwoman Blackwell, who was a tremendous help to us. We always look for those individuals. There were, committee women who would say, hey, Johnny got locked up, he's coming out of jail, can you help him out? And it's always been, we've always been proud of that because they felt comfortable with the company.
Right, and
they
knew who to go to. They knew
who to go
that
to.
you would be helpful.
Yes. And we even had at times some of the judges would tell them, when they got out of prison, hey, go and see Team Clean. And it's because we understand, we just understand the plight. We understand what it takes to return to society.
Right. And you also understand how the businesses that are your clients might react, and you're able to work within those parameters and show people how this can work.
Yeah.
And how it has worked.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, some of our competitors, they could not understand why on God's earth that we would do anything like this. We have clients, we don't want to scare them off, but now some places we can't do that. We understand that some places, at the time we could not use returning citizens, for various reasons. But every opportunity that we had, we use returning citizens, and ditto for new immigrants, and ditto for welfare to work. And let me just tell you about a story that I like to tell all the time. Okay. There was a young lady, and I remember where she was working. I know she wasn't making much, and thank God we're working on this minimum wage thing. Oh, thank you. So she said to me one day, she said, Miss Donna, they call me Miss Donna. I said, Miss Donna, thank you very, very much for this opportunity. And I said, well, thank you very much for coming in to work and showing up every day. Thank you. And she said, I just want to say something to you. Before I got this job, I was literally melting into the fabric of my sofa. And I said, what does that mean? And she said, I was just sitting there with no hope, no opportunity. No one would hire her. And so she was melting into the fabric of her sofa watching soap operas. She said, but since I got this job, she's out. She's meeting people. It was a job that didn't pay much, and I said, honey, let me tell you something. This may be a stepping stone for you, right? Or it may be your career. But whatever it is, keep going and keep growing. Keep your eyes open for opportunities. And she was grateful for that advice. So those are the stories that we like to tell. Those are the stories that we're happy about. And there's many, many more. Now, does it work all the time? No. We just like any other business. There are flaws.
Well, thank you for sharing those stories. And I know I could probably talk to you, Donna, for at least another hour. We're run out of time for today's show. I want to thank you all for watching us today. And I remind you that you can contact me via email, jim@jhdenterprises.com, or my phone number, 215-266-5943. If you have any questions about today's show, my guest, Donna Allie, the CEO of Team Clean, thank you for sharing those stories with us and how you're building lives and building a foundation in the city of Philadelphia and the area. We're really glad for that story, and thank you again. We'll see you next week on Press Conference.
Shelter dogs aren't broken.